Welcome back, everyone. It's been another month, and I'm sure everyone is dying to know the answer to the question, have I achieved more this month than I did last month? It wouldn't be hard, considering last month I bought fabric and nothing else. So the answer is yes, and specifically, I have made a large and very silly hat. So, yep, I've got my wizard hat. It's big and really dumb, and I love it. It's great. It's come out really, really well. So yes, we've got Wizard misspelt, as it should be, and the star. And I've also, and all nicely weathered and beaten up. And I'll put on some, at the end of this video, I'm going to put on a couple of extra scenes of how I weathered all of this stuff, because you can see all of it's all nicely beaten up and munched and dusty and horrible, as it should be, considering what a hard life it has. I've also made a shirt. So the shirt for under the robes, which I have also beaten up and munched and made all dusty and horrible. And pants. We have pants which are also completely munched as well. So we have progress, yes. So far, I'm really pleased with all the progress. I was hoping to get this much done this month, and I have achieved that. So we've basically got all of Rincewind's under layers sorted now. So yeah, shirt, pants, and hat, because a wizard has to have a hat, so that had to happen first. And not to jinx it, but so far everything's gone nicely. Like, doing the pants was relatively, or doing all of the sewing was relatively easy, and I've put in a whole lot of hand-stitched faux stitching on everything to make it look a little bit more like it was made back in fantasy-ish times. And all of the wizard and everything is hand-stitched on. Needs a little bit of a tidy up. There's a few threads and bits and pieces that need a bit of work, but overall I'm really happy with how everything's happening. So yeah, totally jinxing this now, but this month I haven't had anything go wrong, so we will see how next month goes. So the plan now for next month I want to get, at the very least, I want to get the shoes completed, and there's also sort of a cowl that goes over the robes across the shoulders. So I want to get that done as well, and that's in another rough fabric, which will need a bit more weathering, but it's quite a simple shape. It's just a sort of round that goes across the shoulders and drops around here. So I want to get that done. The shoes are going to be the big one. So the shoes are using these, which are a size 10, and I am about a size 7 and a bit, so I should be able to get a nice curve on the front, and I'm going to try and extend that. And then these are short office boots, and Rincewind's boots are those sort of floppy topped ones that all fantasy drawings seem to have, because for some reason everyone has floppy topped shoes. So the plan is to use these as a base, and then I have these lovely real lamb's hide, done in a nice sort of browny beige, that I'm going to try and make work as shoes. I haven't quite worked out how I'm going to. I might try and get some interfacing onto the back of these and see if I can get them to stand up a little bit more solid, and then weather these. So I want to try and get more of a point on the shoes, and then cover them all with leather. So that's going to involve some pattern making with tinfoil, get that all shaped up, cut out the new leather, and then glue that to the shoes. So that's kind of the plan, and I think that's going to take me quite a bit of time. So that is next month's plan. I feel like I should probably be a little, well, those definitely need to happen next month. If I manage to get further on than that and crack into the robes, then great. If I don't, then I'd be pleased enough just getting the shoes and the cowl sorted, and then get the robes next month, because that's not necessarily scaring me, but I really want to get onto those to make sure that I can actually get them done, because there's going to be a lot of hand stitching and embroidery involved with those. So I'm going to have to spend a lot of time sitting in front of the TV hand stitching on moons and stars and things onto the cloaks, and there's some machine stitched embroidery that I have to do as well. So that's sort of where I'm sitting at the moment. So yes, considerably more achieved since last month. Considering that last month was, hey, I bought fabric and did nothing. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I really wanted to update at the moment. So yeah, like I say, I'm going to tag on a couple of extra videos of me doing the weathering stuff, which is quite fun, because I do it with a rock and a hammer. Because when you're weathering fabrics, most things don't get worn or weathered by things that are sharp. You know, it's unusual for you to cut a tear in your jeans. You're more likely to wear them thin and then put your toe through them when you try and pull them on. So if you're weathering fabrics with something sharp, it's going to look too crisp and clean. So I tend to work on the philosophy that, you know, everything that weathers fabric should be dull, and rather than cutting the fabric, it should be worn and made threadbare. So that's sort of what my philosophy is on that, and honestly, I'm really pleased. I mean, you can see how nicely munched and threadbare the end of the shirt is looking, and it's all nicely munched up there. So that's coming up really well. So I'm really pleased with that, and I'll continue that same weathering philosophy on the robes and cloak, just not quite as heavily, because it's I want those to look a little less torn, but still fairly beat up. Yeah, so that's kind of everything. Yes, going really well. So next month I should definitely have shoes and a robe, shoes and a cloak, and with any luck started on the robe. I still haven't quite worked out how I'm going to do that, so we'll see. Next month will be an update on what my plan is for that. So yeah, on to a couple of little extra videos now that I'll tag in, and then I will see you next month. Later. So here's a little supplementary scene to go in with my check-in video for April, showing my new favourite sort of weathering. I found this from a YouTuber, or a costumer, but a YouTuber called Nuclear Snail. Well worth a look. I highly recommend him. He's got some crazy cool post-apocalyptic weathering techniques. So this is using a hammer and a rock to create really strongly weathered fabrics, and then as well as that we use some graphite and some surprisingly Armor All protectant. This stuff works really well if you want subtle oily marks, like not actually pouring oil on something, just giving it, like we spilt something slightly greasy like a burger or something on it. So it's not horrible destroyed oil, it's just a little subtle. So I will show you, I'm going to stop this and spin the camera around, and I will show you some hammer beating with my beating rock. Here is the beating rock. The beating rock is nice and textured, so it's all nice and rough. You can see I've been beating the hat, which is why that's all beaten up there. So I've got the edge of one of the shirt, and basically this is going to be slightly difficult one-handed, but essentially if you just smash the edges all the way along and munch it up good, you get a really torn, beaten up look that when you get your other hand in there you can really sort of tear it up. You can use the other end of the hammer to munch it quite a bit more. There's the round edge is quite sort of gentle, the back edge is pretty vicious, so if you that's the bottom of one of the legs that I was beating up, and actually it ended up being a bit long, so I ended up cutting it off. So you don't cut it with scissors, you cut it with a hammer. So yeah, a really good way of beating up fabric. Munch that all up, and then as well as that, I'll use this piece as an example. You can just give it a greasy, so this is the Armor All Protectant, just it gives it a greasy look. So that'll dry out a bit, but it'll stay reasonably oily, but not too oily. And then I've also got graphite powder. And this stuff's great because you can just sort of blow it on and then give it a rub. And again, quite subtle effect, but you can see that sort of dusty black stain there. So that's my weathering, some of my weathering techniques. I've got another one that I'll do a clip of that I'll put into the video as well with my special jar of dirt, but I'll do that another day. So yes, on with the check-on video. Right, so here I am in my backyard on a surprisingly beautiful Dunedin day. It's actually really nice down here today, which is surprising. Well, it's not that surprising. Anyway, this is the other section of my weathering stuff, weathering videos to show you some of my techniques. So I have a box of dirt and some various other bits and pieces, so we're going to weather a couple of bits of the pants and shirt so I can show you some of those techniques. Turn the camera around. So this technique uses a clear satin spray and some plaster of Paris and this box of dirt. It's a special box of dirt. It's all nice and dry and quite fine. Yeah, there's a lot of chunks of rock and things in it, but that's because it's from under my house. So the idea is, if we grab a chunk of pants, the idea is simply give this a spray with the clear, and not too much of an area, just about that. Grab it and throw it in the dirt. And you get this really dirty, funnily enough, because it is dust, dirty look. A bit of plaster of Paris in there, and then smack it a bit, and you get sort of, get it into the sun a bit more. You get a dirty, dusty, little bit mouldy from the plaster of Paris, but really worn look. And some of that will come off as I wear it a little bit more, so this is fresh. But yeah, it gives a really nice natural dirty look. So that's my other weathering technique other than beating up fabric with a hammer.